Yeah. If you're willing to open that door.
Yeah.
I talked about this yesterday with you, Boston, but I have to get it on recording too.
Mm-hmm.
So my UK family sent me a couple of photos. Like, it's snowing. And it's like fucking like half an inch of
Right.
snow. Like,
Yeah.
one of them's like, yeah, it's snowing. It's just not snowing anywhere near as much as you guys get over there. I'm like a fucking moron. I
Well,
responded
actually,
it's been good so far this winter. We've only had about maybe 3 inches of snow total, and that's just like accumulated over dusting over like 2 months. So it's been
Right.
fine. It hasn't fucking stopped snowing since I sent that message.
for days and days.
We've been
every
getting nothing
day.
but snow.
We're getting like fucking anywhere between 6 to 8 inches. I literally snowblowed the driveway 3 times yesterday. I'm so fucking annoyed.
I was like, it hasn't been bad enough that we've had to snowblow or shovel out the drive, but it was bad enough that we had to go to the end of the drive and carve out all the fucking ice that got crammed in there from the plow. So that way, we don't knock something out on my wife's car.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, we're still doing fine.
I had to dig mine out like 3 times. Like the garage door now. I don't know what it is, but the garage door has decided it only wants to open halfway.
Perfect.
During the winter months. Summer will hit and it'll be fine. It'll go all the way up to the top. It's great. Second winter hits, it stops at like my nipple height. So I have to do like a limbo to get into the garage every single time to get the snowblower out.
Right.
I had to go grocery shopping yesterday. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to cheat. So I just got the leaf blower and just blew all the snow off my car with the leaf blower instead because I couldn't be bothered just like brushing it all off instead. Like,
doesn't matter how you get it done.
Yeah.
As long as you get it done, yes. Yeah. I'm also something I think Boston is aware of this too. But something I was gifted a nightmare present over Christmas, which I'm not doing this week because I don't feel well, and I didn't do last week because I didn't feel well then.
Why poison yourself when you're already sick?
Puke 40 colors on stream.
That's right.
Yes. So because of that, I'm literally this very second posting a picture to the Patron Peeps Discord channel with 4 post-it notes in a fridge, each with a different reaction emoji on them. And these post-it notes are attached to Christmas presents, quote-unquote presents. We'll say
right.
quote-unquote presents. And I will consume these poisonous beverages by whichever gets the most votes, essentially.
Right. You decide how Moon poisons himself.
Yes.
Are you doing dollar votes?
No, I'm doing emoji votes.
Every extra dollar goes towards.
That's right.
Yeah, you got 5. Might as well be the American election system then. If you pay $10,000, you get more votes.
Got him.
But no, I figured I'd post that up in the chat and let the actual community decide how I die this year.
As Moon just wrote in the channel, vote for my poison.
So have fun with that if you're listening to this between now and next week. And I'll probably just keep going with the same picture. I might like take a new picture each week. I don't know yet. But it was something that cared to me, and I don't know what flavors they are. So because they're literally wrapped in Christmas wrapping.
Oh, nice.
So it's like
a
double
mystery for everybody.
Know.
Yeah.
You don't know. Nobody knows.
Oh man, I love it.
So I'm screwed is the essential note. Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'm gonna laugh when you open them, and it's just gonna be like super normal. Like, here's a Coca-Cola, here's a Pepsi. Yeah.
Ooh,
they're just completely
ginger ale
screwing with you.
is legitimately the worst poison you could put in those things. So don't even joke about ginger ale, Boston.
Boy, Moon, you and I could not be.
You and I
could not be more different.
I also like mint ice cream though, so of course we're
you were a horrific person.
Yeah, I hate mint ice cream.
I'm not a fan of it, but my wife and kids love it. So
yeah, my wife and daughter love it. I
love cherries as well. Cherries are delicious.
I can't even smell mint chip ice cream. It makes me nauseous. Ugh, God.
I mean, I can eat it, but it's not.
Oh, I
can't. it's like the last thing in the freezer, and I'm like,
Right.
I kind of want something sweet, and this is what I got.
Hey man, sometimes you gotta eat what you've got just so you can get through to the next thing. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'll just drink windshield wiper fluid.
Your
Oh, it's so
antifreeze starts out
sweet.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, fun colors. Please don't do that at home, listeners.
No,
Please,
do
God.
not drink antifreeze
It will
or
kill
let
you.
any living thing. Yeah.
Oh,
So, I'm really actually kind of pleased with the fact I've been sick for a while because of the nature of my sickness. It means I haven't been able to do grocery shopping. So literally in the house, we've been slowly chugging away at all of the crap we buy and haven't like used yet. The horrifying part was when you clear out the cupboards and then there's pasta in there that expired in like 2017. It's like that's not even close.
Yeah, that's right. We're years off of that, man.
Yeah, like that's bad.
Yeah,
like, that's real bad.
Yeah.
We found that out when we were switching fridges too, when we were swapping out condiments.
Oh
It's
Jesus!
Like, oh man, we've been
the
using like this same mustard bottle since like 2019 or something like that. I'm like, none of us have gotten sick. Just keep.
That's true. You're building the immune system.
Yep.
Oh man.
Those are just suggestions. I mean, come on.
That's right.
Like medicine and its recommended dosage. That's
exactly.
You just have to take more. It just gets weaker. It's fine.
Yeah.
We all saw Wolf of Wall Street. We know it takes a while for that Ambien to kick in.
Hey man, I haven't seen Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh really? It was a fun movie. My wife took me to it. I had no idea what it was, and she was super interested in it. And it was like, okay, that was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
Not my normal cup of tea, but.
All right, are you guys ready to kick this off?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpier.
Hi, feeling slightly better today.
Hooray! And the Nimp.
No sunglasses.
There you go. All right, quick production notes here at the very top. Brand new Game Club episode out right now for Thirsty Suitors. We played that for our January. If you're listening to the audio version of this, that's out at the same time here. If you're watching the video version, hi, that'll be out soon-ish. That's a super spoiler-filled one. So if you haven't played Thirsty Suitors, not super long, but go play that beforehand. And our next game is going to be Steam World Build, which at the time of this recording should still be on Game Pass. So
yes,
check that
I
out.
believe it only came out like the end of last year, so I'm pretty sure it'll be on Game Pass for a while.
Yeah, it's a very recent game here. So that'll be our very next one. Also wanted to put a plug for a charity live stream I'm going to be doing here on Tuesday, January 23rd from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific. You can either check out my Twitch channel, my like dusty cobweb-filled Twitch channel, Boston Hannon over on Twitch, or check out the charity website game2give.com. That's game2give.com. My website, Destiny Emblem Collector, it's in the top 10, so you can just go check out there. It's the one that says DEC. So go check that out there. And if you want to see me suffer through some self-imposed challenges on Destiny 2 during my live stream and hopefully raise more money for charity, then go check that out over there on Tuesday, the 23rd. Also, let's talk about patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers. Also, Boston DEC was last month.
That's how have I not thought of? Okay, I got to this December. I got to do like deck celebration month in December. It's a good one. Marketing, I like it. Over on the Patreon page, $5 a month tier is a recommended one. That gets you everything, including the uncensored exclusive Outcast. We're talking about all the rest of the stuff happening in our lives, mostly napping. Naps are pretty good.
Yes,
we like those.
Naps are great.
Those are good. You also get the exclusive access to the Wayward Sons, which is the Supernatural TV show watchcast that Moon and Nip are going through at the moment.
Having literally just recorded the next 2 episodes that go up, I would like to officially state that they are some off-the-rails bangers.
Yep, perfect. There you go.
One of them was almost as long as a normal TVGP show, and
Excellent.
that was purely by accident.
There you go. Love hearing about some 5-star runtimes. Also, Moon and I recorded the season 27 production meeting for Critical Misses. If you haven't listened to those are $5 patron exclusives as well. That's kind of the how the sausage is made stuff for Critical Misses. Sometimes other stuff, but 99% of the time it's Critical Misses. Kind of how we decide what we're going to do for the upcoming season. Usually building a couple of lists. Usually there's one time where it's like, oh no, I have a terrible idea, and then we talk about that for like 45 minutes. If you like that, you should listen to season 27's Critical Misses production meeting. We got that in spades. And of course, you get early access to Critical Misses itself and We Roguelike It, the show where Moon and I are playing just more roguelikes than is medically advisable. But nobody's going to stop us. Nobody's going to stop me from ranking stuff, most importantly. I can stop anytime I want. That's right.
You'll stop when you're unable to stop you, and that's the problem is we're not.
That's right. That's right.
Pay attention to our next episode, top 5 times to stop doing things.
That's right. Top 5 things to stop.
New Year's is the best time to not do something new.
That's right. But New Year's is the best time to start a new patronage. Don't forget that's at patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
All right, Moon. What have you been playing this past week?
Due to reasons, I have limited time and availability. So, I only played 2. I tried to dabble and then I ended up failing and just watching crap on YouTube instead.
There you go.
Sometimes you just have to not be involved in something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Your brain just needs to like wander off.
Yeah, especially when you go back to work and you're trying to recover and then you still try and recover and work at the same time. It's fun. So might as well start with Under Leaves. That's under space leaves, the thing that falls off a tree.
Leaves.
It's basically a hidden object game. It's a very simple hidden object game. It's cute pastel like art style. Maybe what I don't know. It's an art style that I don't understand how to talk about art.
It looks like a kid's book, kind of like a watercolor sort of thing.
Like the Hungry Caterpillar kind of style.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's literally you click on an animal, the animal tells you what it needs, and then you find that thing in the environment. Once you've found it all, then you click on the animal again and move on to the next environment and the next environment, and so on and so forth. It's been a pretty decent little chill out game for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it kind of looks like an I Spy.
A little bit. Where's Wally for animal food?
Yeah, these hidden object games are getting pretty big lately. I think because it's really satisfying. Someone being like,
chill.
"Hey, I need you to find 10 mushrooms." And it's like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, I can find 10 mushrooms. Heck yeah, let's do that." And then just kind of having that, enough of a challenge, but not super challenging.
Yeah, so what this one does is it like goes through different environments and each level is named after the scientific name of the animal that you're finding the food for.
Oh,
so
okay.
it'll go to if you watch the video version, there's an Arctic environment now. This is the second time you go there. The first time you go there is for a polar bear, then you go back for an Arctic fox. In the jungle level, there was a snake which wanted to find geckos. And that was a nightmare. Trying to find, I don't know what it is about that level, but I really struggle with the green level. Just differentiating the shades of the greens. It just for whatever reason is super hard for me. So I really struggle with that one, trying to find the stuff in there. But it gives you the different animals and the different foods, and it's like it's like a map of the world, and then you're just progressing through it and finding a bunch of different stuff. Which, you know, I have a big TV and I have podcasts to listen to, so it was just what I was doing at the time. So it's fun. I'm pretty sure I picked up for like $2 at some point because why not?
Yeah.
So it's a decent little fun experience. I don't know what it would be like with kids. So
that might be a good one for like. I feel like you said, like Where's Waldo, Where's Wally, depending on the part of the world you're in. Like that's kind of the perfect stuff for kids.
Yeah, I do have another one, which was like a pack that I picked up. Apparently, it's really highly regarded. I just don't know what it's called, and I can't find it in my installed games list, so I have to go figure out where that is at some point. But cool. You know, it was dumb fun, and I'm enjoying that.
It's called Under Leaves.
Yes, Under Leaves, and the game logo is a brown forest with a fox sitting on it. So, that's how you'll know if you found it. The other dumb stupid game I played was Super Soccer Blast.
Super Soccer Blast. Okay.
Which is an indie arcade soccer game, which very much takes off. I wish I could remember the name of it, but I don't remember the name of it. Old soccer games. Let me just do a quick Google while Boston does the same thing.
Right.
Was it Winning 11-7?
No, that's Pro Evolution before
FIFA
it was Pro
2006.
Evolution. It's not any
Pro
of the
Evolution.
Go away.
PES 97.
Tycho represents.
Sensible Soccer is the one I was thinking.
Oh, Sensible Soccer. Right.
So it's kind of in that kind of stylish thing where it's like a top-down view of the state of the ground, and it's a very simple 3-button game: pass, shoot, cross. On offense, and on defense, it's small tackle, side tackle, and you can sprint. It is just super arcadey. Like there is nothing truly incredible about it. It is kind of like going back to those times of the Sensible Soccer kind of gameplay where it's just super simple controls, super simple graphics.
Yeah.
You're not managing a spreadsheet for each individual player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no ultimate team.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which
money.
is funny because I mentioned Sensible Soccer because that's not my era of soccer games. I didn't start playing soccer games until much later, so I first got into it in like 96, 97 with the early FIFAs. Then I evolved into a Pro Evo player, then I went back to FIFA for a while, and then I stopped playing it for years. Because I went by quality of the gameplay, not the actual graphics. There was a heated, like, the tomato conversation, the GIF conversation. There was a harder, more violent conversation along those lines with regards to if you were a Pro Evo or a FIFA player when I was in college.
Right.
If you
side
wanted
of
the
war
graphics,
were you on?
Exactly. It was the Microsoft Sony of its time.
Right.
I was FIFA then Pro Evo, like I said, which was formerly known as Winning 11 that evolved into Pro Evo because I wanted the realism of the game, not, hey, we have everybody's name and the graphics look incredible, but it's just the same game year after year after year.
Right.
So I went with Pro Evo because it played better and it was more satisfying to score in that because it was a lot harder. And yes, I may have played around with Guy Serrard instead of Steve Gerrard as the captain of Liverpool.
That's right.
But that didn't matter because the game was better. And you could also just go in and edit everybody's information so they were called the correct thing.
Right.
It was early internet. There was a online hobbyist save file exchange for Pro Evo.
Yeah, there we go.
I miss those.
Someone would get the game, adjust all of the data to the right data, and then upload that save file onto the internet so everybody else didn't have to do it.
It's
So
like
you
when
could
people
literally
started changing the ROM for Tecmo Bowl on the NES and being like, hey, here's this season's teams and players. It's all the real teams and real players. And it's like, that's a level of dedication that I appreciate for a game that's like 35 years old.
Did you guys ever pull your saves off of your PlayStation memory cards to mess with stuff like that?
No,
I did it with the Xbox, which is
Yeah.
Okay.
dangerous.
Yeah,
Because that's a
'cause that
real quick
built
way
in
to get
and-
your,
yeah.
your gamer tag destroyed.
The only time I pulled my saves off of my PS2 and PS1 is when they released that adapter for the PS3 that like it was a
Oh, that
USB to
USB
PS2
plug-in
memory.
thing. Yeah, I have that thing in my closet.
I have it too, where it's just like, hey, you want to put your PS2 saves on your PS3? And I was like, I don't know why I would, but yeah, sure. Let's. This $20. That looks real
How
dumb.
else is Psycho Mantis going to know what you've been playing?
Exactly. You like Suikoden?
I was just gonna say, doing that kind of stuff back then, it felt like the weirdest thing because you didn't know if you're gonna break your save, your memory card, your PlayStation, or your computer.
Thank goodness transferring saved us. We don't have to worry about any of that.
Don't have to think about that anymore at all.
That's right.
Anyway, Super Soccer Blast. The reason Pro Evo and FIFA comes to mind is because it has two control schemes. It's the X circle of Japanese to Western developers
Sure.
conversation where, like, in FIFA, I'm pretty sure it was X was shoot, B was cross on the Xbox controller. On Pro Evo, it was flipped. So X is cross, B is shoot. So games like this, they're not directly heritaged from either of the two lines. They always have traditional and Evo controls.
Right.
And the Evo controls are always the Pro Evolution Soccer controls rather than the FIFA controls.
That's so good.
Which is just a nice little nod to the heritage of soccer games throughout the way too long they've been around. And like this is another one of those games where like I'm just playing it because A, I have installed, and B, it's simple. I don't have to think too much. I can pass the ball around, score an overhead kick here and there, and then, just kind of let it wash over me and not worry too much about thinking about existential crises of the mind.
Well, it's like we were talking about last week with Vampire Survivors. It's meditative. Like you're just kind of, I'm listening to something, I'm playing something, I'm kind of paying attention to both of them, but kind of not really, and I'm having a great time. I'm relaxing.
Yeah. It's been fun. The only other thing I played this week at least was Lethal Company, which seems to have turned into my Friday night game, if I'm completely honest. Which I'm fine with. I love Lethal Company. I may have made a mistake. Because I went down the Lethal Company modding rabbit hole.
Oh, speaking of bands.
No, it's fine. It is shockingly easy to mod Lethal Company. Like,
I'm also surprised they don't have Steam Workshop support, which was the first thing when you were like, oh, we're going to install this mod. There's a famous mod called More Company where you could get more than 4 people to play at once. And I was like, oh, I'll just hit up the Steam Workshop. And Steam was just like, no. What? No.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
I'm very curious as to why that is. I'm not sure why. I wonder if it's a license issue because it was one person who created the game.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's something that will come in after it leaves early access. But
haven't gotten
whatever.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to do it at the moment, and I didn't get any violent flashes of like viruses or attacks on my computer
That's right.
when I did install it. So I'm happy with how easy it is to do. So part of the thing I wanted to do was I wanted to install More Company because literally I have invited Boston to play, and we're hopefully going to loop in a bit more so Boston can play more frequently with us. Problem is we have a lobby of 4.
Right.
And we have 4 people who play minus Boston. So I feel guilty not inviting one of the people into the lobby.
Right.
Oh, you get to play who's your favoritist online friend.
That's right.
That's exactly why I
isn't
feel
going to make the
guilty.
cut this week.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's why I installed More Company, because More Company increases the lobby size. And I'm not going to be crazy. I'm not doing 32 people inside of this game. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Like, at the moment, I'm capping it out at 5, which is the 4 of the people who normally play, and then Boston.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel more comfortable, I'm going to increase that. I might just say, yeah, screw it. Let's just do 8 and call it a limit there. And then you might randomly see a Discord message from me in the thing saying, hey, I'm playing the Lethal Company. If anyone wants to join in, blah, blah, blah.
That's right. The company needs you.
Yes. It was shockingly easy to get the mod installed. It does come with its own like cosmetics customizations.
Oh, right.
So you can differentiate between people a little bit, which I'm torn on. But I'm torn on mods in general for this game. So there's a couple of mods that I want to try. Rob, friend of the show, Rob, suggester of Spirit Walkers, whatever that game was called.
Oh, Spirit Hunters, yeah.
Yes. Anytime I talk about modding Lethal Company, he always immediately drops the mod I do not want to install the most.
Oh no, is it the Skinwalker?
No, I don't know what that is, and now thank you. I don't need to know what that is.
It is exactly what you
Does
think
it turn
it
the
is.
game into it?
So if you're talking about like the orange people with the face masks, that's just in the game.
No, this is like it's using clips of you and your friend's voice to mimic
Oh my god, no.
each
That
other.
is fantastic.
It's terrifying.
No,
I don't like it.
See, I love it when the gaming community comes together for dumb stuff like this.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's just I've seen people play it and it is terrifying.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't need to do nothing
Hey,
with
it's
that.
my
Thank
friend
you very
over there.
much.
He's saying hi. Come over here in his voice. And
And now you've said that, and now he's heard that. So you know what I'm going to get next time, right?
I'll just edit it out.
Yeah, just keep it out.
Yes, please.
That's right.
No, so the one he talks about every time is the fake fire exit.
Oh no, I haven't seen that one.
Is it like a mimic?
Basically, yes.
I've seen a video of it. Yeah.
It's a fire exit, Boston, that when you open the door, it opens and a big mouth just comes out and eats you.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I love and hate it at the same time. Kudos.
So that's the thing, is it's so easy to die in this game. I don't want my one beacon of hope is the fire exit.
Yeah.
I don't want my one beacon of hope to turn into a question mark.
I did see a video of that mod, and that had me laughing so
horrifying.
hard because I was like, they have mimics now?
See, the thing that is interesting about Lethal Company is the developer is straddling this line really well. We're like, yeah, the mimic door is going to be funny once, but then after that, it's going to be really annoying because you're just going to try to play the game and you can't. But like, the majority of the stuff in the game, dying to it multiple times is funny. Playing it and watching it, which is probably one of the more impressive feats from this game.
Like you said, it straddles that line perfectly between fun to play and fun to watch people play.
Yeah.
Like it is, and not only that, but it's unique every time because of the whole nature of a roguelike and randomly proc gen stuff, everything like that.
Yeah.
It's very rarely you're going to get the same thing multiple times. So we had fun. We had a good time playing it. We have one rule when we play now, our core group of 4.
Okay.
We must get Squeaky, who is the squeaky pajama man who...
Oh, it's like a squeaky like dashboard toy that you can place in the ship.
Yes.
Squeaky's fun.
So Squeaky must be gotten every time we can, and also we must try and find a whoopee cushion, because just dropping it on the floor and then running around and then just accidentally hearing as you're running to press the lever is gold.
It's a very good whoopee cushion noise.
It is, and it's like 7 or 8 different samples, so it's like not the same thing each time too, which is just even better. But while I was playing the game this week, in my drug adult phase, medicine adult phase, I should say, because that's a different type of phase. I was thinking about it and I realized something. The first 5 moons, so the 3 beginner ones and then the 2 medium ones. And I don't know if the developer did this deliberately, but I like the idea that he did. The things that spawn the majority of the time in those 5 locations are your physical fears. So
interesting.
it's a spider, a giant spider that will chase you down a corridor, and all you hear is like, like, and that's a horrifying thing.
Yep.
The bracken is very common in these maps, and that's the thing the thing in the shadows waiting to get you.
And all you see is the eyes out of the corner of your eyes. It's just like,
yes. And you've got the boomer, who is that big monster who is so quick they will get to you so fast that you don't even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the bees. So they're all physical things that you would interact with on that front in those first 5 maps.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to the final 2 or the final 3, the 3 that you pay for, you have to pay to go to, and it gives you that other map, that mansion map, essentially.
Yeah,
that's the horror kind of fears. That is the creepy little girl who haunts you. It's the mask that overtakes you, the mimic who looks like one of your people,
right,
but follows you around.
The Jack in the Box.
The Jack in the Box, the Nutcracker. It is all these more ephemeral kind of fears that are not the same type of fear as the first 5. I wasn't thinking about it until literally this week, and I realized that's why that jump onto those moons that you pay for is such a big jump, because it's a completely different type of fear. It's a completely different type of horror that happens on those maps.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because like I will run down a corridor and see a spider, and I will get that itch, that spider itch, when you know you've just seen a spider.
Get the heebie-jeebies, and you're like,
but then your foot is under a desk, and then you feel like the spider is crawling all over your feet, even though you know it's not.
Spiders everywhere! Oh god!
It's that sensation.
Yeah.
But then the second I get into like the mansion levels, and I see a worker with one of the tragedy comedy masks on, immediately I get the Blair Witch like vibes,
the fight or flight,
where it's just like I get that that prickly sensation throughout my entire body of just like, no, I don't want to be here right now.
Right.
You
hear the Nutcracker stomping around, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know if it was a deliberate choice to do it that way.
It's interesting, yeah.
But that is a very cool like flip, because like at this point I feel like at least the core 4. I don't know about Boston. He still needs to be put through the ringer. But I feel like we're all pretty solid about recognizing and not always winning, but doing a pretty good job about not dying on those first 5 moons. Like, almost every single time we can at least get one person out. I can't remember the last time we lost everything because we all died in a map. Like,
right.
Those 5, they're still scary, they're still fun. You still get those moments where someone jumps a gap and then jumps straight into something they shouldn't have.
I missed the
Yeah. You still get all of that fun.
And
then it feels like whenever we go to the harder maps, that's when all bets are off.
Yeah.
Like, we did a run on the mansion map this week, and we all went in. We all grabbed a full load, and we all ran out and got back to the ship. And me and Rob were like, "Yeah, we'll go back. We're going to get some more because we need big bucks to keep making, the quota." So we go back in, and then I end up getting chased by one of those mimic face guys, the guys with the tragedy mask on, and I hate it because you turn around and run away from them, and they sprint. But then if you look at them, they stop and then just slowly start walking towards you.
God.
But the whole sound design in the mansion map is all wooden floors. It's none of this like metal floors, so it's all very echoey, and you don't know if it's a mimic, if it's someone else, whatever. So I'm getting chased by that, and I'm running around a corner straight into a Nutcracker. So then I have to do like this loop around this set of rooms. I have to loop around to try and get away from the Nutcracker and the mimic, and I fail, and the mimic gets me. So then I'm watching Rob as he comes back to the main entrance, who, again, Rob with his classic moments of gold. We all voted to leave, and he got on the radio and started asking how I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh no, you're probably dead, aren't you? If everybody's voting to leave, you're dead." And he's got the radio to his face, talking to nobody. But he was coming back through like the main entrance, and as he comes down the main entrance, he spots something on the stairs, stops to get it, and then the mimic comes out of the corner room and gets him immediately.
Nice.
So at that point, it loops, like the camera jumps back, and it's Ash who's in the ship watching the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the monitor behind them, which shows like whoever you're looking at. It shows what they're doing in like a top-down map environment thing. And I'm looking at that map, and it's 3 human indicators with vision cones,
Mm-hmm.
who all promptly walk to the exit of the building and start walking towards the ship.
Oh
No,
no.
no.
And the only one alive is Ash.
Mm-hmm.
It's the mimic who got me, and Rob all walking towards the ship to go and find Ash, doing this little spinny thing that they do on the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, oh no, this is bad. Like this is
This
really,
is all the way
really bad.
Oh man.
So crunk that and get out of there kind of thing.
Yep.
But it's like it's during that whole process, it was like, I'm so much more afraid now of the mimics
Mm-hmm.
than I am of anything, except for maybe the spiders, but they just give me the spider sensation.
Right.
I do the tingly thing, one
What
might
is that,
say,
give you the
if you're a
tingles?
Spider-Man
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
But like that whole ordeal of going backwards and forwards between them now, it's like, don't get me wrong, I think we're better at the game now than we were, like, 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But oh boy, I still just want to play it. I still just want to
Yeah.
like go in. And now that I have more company organized, I'm gonna start looking and seeing what some of the other potential mods are. Because like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to do the fake fire door one, because I don't want to sit there next to a fire door while I'm getting chased by a thumper, arguing with somebody else over who goes through that fire door
Right.
first, just on the off chance that it's a fake one.
This doesn't sound as fun.
But like they've got other ones which are like they turn the external ship cameras into helmet cameras. So whoever you're watching on the map screen, it shows their helmet camera on that screen to the right, in like that pixelated.
I've seen that.
Like,
That's a
thing.
very cool one.
And I think that's cool, but it's like, does that take away from the enjoyment of the game if I can say they're definitely dead because I just watched them see a thumper come and hit them directly in the face?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So do I want to use that one, or do I want to just try and intuit what I can from looking at the map and seeing what their body is doing or not doing, as the case may be?
Right.
And we did have a fantastic murderous Bracken who did kill like 2 people instantly in like less than a second, by the way, this run.
Nice.
Which is just fun. It's great when you come around a corner with a flashlight and then you just see a pool of blood on the floor and that blood goes off into nowhere. And you're just like, maybe I should leave.
Yeah.
Like right now. I don't know. It's still so much fun. I'm so glad I decided to just randomly jump in and try it one week, and
Yep.
I will probably be continuing to mess with the mods.
And it's only $10. Super cheap.
Like good on that creator. Good on. I bet you the Roblox devs are really annoyed he didn't make it in Roblox.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I've been playing. Mr. Nim, take it away.
All right. So this week, I'm going to talk about Divinity Original Sin 2.
Ooh.
I was reading articles, or reading, not necessarily like news articles, but just like a lot of people talking about how since they really liked Baldur's Gate 3, they wanted to go back and see what else Larian had done. And so everyone goes to 2, because 1 is, it's all right. But then everyone's complaining about how difficult 2 is compared to Baldur's Gate 3. I'm like, okay, I have it because my original intent was my wife and I were going to play this together, but she wasn't really that interested in it. And as I have been playing it, I'm like, oh, this is way harder into the systems than I thought it was.
Oh, okay.
Which is fine for me, not necessarily for her. She is not a fan of D&D, so whatever. So starting out, I decided you can either choose to use, I believe they call them like the origin characters, which are pre-made characters that have like a backstory, or you can just completely create your own character that doesn't have a backstory.
It's kind of like the intro of Dragon Age, the first one, where it's like, we've got these couple ones if you don't want to make them, but you can kind of configure everything you want.
Yep, and
Gotcha.
the only difference between an origin character and one that you have created is, like I said, the backstory, and that the origin characters will sometimes have conversation prompts that are only available to that specific character.
Okay.
So outside of that, though, I mean, you're not missing anything. So if you don't want to use them, don't. But I decided to go with Fane, who is an undead. It is the skeleton that everyone talks about. The backstory for that is Fane is part of a civilization that has been dead for so long that even the oldest elves don't even know about the civilization anymore. Like, just nothing is left at all. And your background story being that you just happen to wake up in a tomb and you walk out of it, and then someone accused you of having sorcery, and they clap a collar on you, and then now you're just on a ship as a prisoner.
Okay.
So from that point, it doesn't really, like, it has like this whole story thing, and I'm kind of paying attention to it, but I'm also doing my own little thing with this story-wise. But starting out, like, you have nothing, and he has on a helmet that allows you to change into the different species, like human, elf, dwarf, and lizardmen.
Okay.
And when you change into those using this helmet, you then adopt that species like specialties, like class specialties, kind of.
Oh, interesting.
So elves in this world, for some reason, eat flesh. And I'm talking like you will find dismembered heads, torsos, arms, hands, legs, feet. And elves can eat those. And from eating those, they get... It's mostly just like story of that person.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
9 times out of 10, it's not great because you just found a dismembered part of that person. So usually it's not a great story.
Sure.
Sometimes you will get chunks of experience. Sometimes you will get like information on something that's like hidden in the area. Or sometimes you'll learn a skill.
Oh.
So as Fane turned into an elf, I can eat these parts and get that same thing as opposed to having an elf character.
Interesting. Okay.
The dwarf and the lizardmen, I'm not 100% sure what their species, type
like
thing
benefit.
is. Yeah, I haven't really looked into any of the other ones because I was really interested in making an undead character. And the best part is, too, you cannot heal as an undead. Because you're dead. Makes sense.
Sure.
Holy magic hurts you.
Right.
But what it does tell you is that, like, necrosis, poison, that's what you're going to have to use to heal yourself, which isn't terribly difficult to come across. I'll get into it more later, but I've come across poison way more readily than I have figured I was going to.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty fun. But so you wake up on the ship, and there's already a talking skull there. That's a known Lyrian thing. And you talk to the skull for a little bit, and then you continue on and you investigate the rest of the ship. And I was in an area where on the other side of this area that I was in on the ship, there was another person that was actually locked up, and there was a guard asleep there. I couldn't open up the door because I had to do some puzzle thing. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to go check the other door. And the other door had the option of being able to unlock it. And I chose to play as a rogue character. I think specifically they called it like a Shadow Blade, which is like an assassin kind of thing. Because I am an undead, I can use my fingers to pick locks because it's just a bone.
Okay.
So I don't need lock picks at all. I was like, great. Oh, this is already turning out fantastic. I open up the door, and there is a trap, and it's a poison trap that sets off. Because I'm undead, it just starts healing me. Like, it says, you're poisoned, and it says, vitality up, because my resistance is so high, being undead, that it just heals me. I'm like, this is this is already fantastic. I'm really loving this choice already.
Oh man.
The next door I open, there is just a barrel of poison. And I'm like, okay. And it's like leaking poison everywhere. And I pick it up, it goes into my inventory. And for like a good couple of hours, like my character is always close to being encumbered because I have this massive poison barrel on me
Right.
that I found out if I combine empty bottles that I am finding with the poison barrel, I make poison potions.
Aha.
Which I can then use to heal myself.
Gotcha. All right.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, almost 40 hours into that game, that barrel is still giving me poison.
It's a very good investment.
It was. So I finally make it over to this other side of the ship where this prisoner is at, and the guy is trying to talk me up, being like, hey, let me out, I'll help you out and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't trust you. Like, why are you in here? And the guy won't answer. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'm gonna go take the key from the guard, and I'll open the thing. Well, the guard wakes up. I don't get the chance to take it, and he is super suspicious. Like, why are you even here? I was like, I got lost. Whatever. You should go check up on deck because I'm trying like this persuasion check now. And I'm like, you should go up deck. Some dude fell off the ship, and they're hollering for you to go help. And the guy's like, oh, is it Eric? I bet you it was Eric. That guy is such an idiot. And he's like, before I leave, though, I'm going to take that prisoner up there with me. All right, fine, whatever. I didn't have any. The guy wanted out. He's getting out now.
Yeah.
As soon as that gate opens, that guy casts like fireball on that guard. And that lights everything on fire. And the guard is still alive. It takes its turn to attack the prisoner. And then the game's like, okay, it's your turn in combat. And I'm like,
oh no.
For what? I wasn't a part of any of
I'm not
this.
involved in this, man.
So I have a polymorph skill that just had a chicken on it. I'm like, I wonder what that does. I walk up to the dude, smack him with the polymorph spell, turned him into a chicken.
Perfect.
I didn't know it was a polymorph spell. I thought it was just like a chicken scratch skill. Like I'd walk up and like scratch him because I don't have any weapons or anything. I just have this skill so far. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's just a scratching thing or I peck him to death or something. Nope. Just turn the thing into a chicken. So the guard is on fire. This whole front end of the ship is on fire. And this burning chicken comes running out of this inferno right into the poison and blows up the other side of the ship. So the guard is dead. The chicken prisoner is dead, and I'm standing there in poison healing myself going, I don't know what just happened.
I'm just going to head on out.
And that is my entire experience with Divinity Original Sin 2.
Sounds perfect.
It has been. Later on, you end up getting onto an island, and there's like randomly just a black cat that showed up, and it just starts following me, which was really weird, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I couldn't really do with it. And I'm skipping a lot of story stuff in case anybody wants to play it. So, as I continue adventuring on this island, I find a guy who ends up joining my party who can talk to animals. And so I have him talk to the cat, and the cat is just super confused, and it just wants to follow me. I'm like, all right.
Fair enough.
Like, it's not hindering me or anything. Anytime there's a battle, it disappears and then it comes back kind of thing. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Like 3-4 hours later, I finally get out of this little fort that I'm stuck in. And all of a sudden I get an achievement that popped that said something like for saving the cat. Like, okay. And then the cat turns into like a celestial spirit. And now my character can just summon a cat that... battle-wise it doesn't do anything, but I can control the cat and tell it to go somewhere, and because it's technically a familiar, I can have it do a skill called familiar swap, where we switch locations.
Oh, interesting.
So my black cat can sneak into areas unnoticed, and then I can switch locations with it, and now my character has infiltrated a spot.
All right.
So there's been like a lot of weird, crazy stuff that's been kind of broken. And it's been kind of great.
Yeah.
There's another spot that I just discovered where I had to get to another island and the bridge is all busted up. And one of my mage characters that I have, she has the ability to teleport, or the skill to teleport, but you can't teleport her. Like she can't teleport herself. It has to be a different character or a different
Oh,
object.
gotcha.
So I'm like, well, crap, this isn't going to work because I did a skill and I can see that there's like a spiritual version of this bridge, but I can't just walk across it. I have to like kind of jump across it to get to it. Your characters don't jump, but two of my characters, my main character who's a rogue, and the other guy who's kind of like a ranged rogue, they have a hunter's ability called tactical retreat, which within a certain distance they can just jump to a new location and then they get haste. So for those two, I just had them jump, wait like 3 seconds for the cooldown, jump again, and then they were across the divide. But now I'm sitting here trying to figure out, okay, what do I do with the lizardman and what do I do with my mage? And I'm like, okay, I can teleport the lizard man. Let me see how far I can get him over. And then I remembered, oh, my mage has, I think it's called like nether swap, where it's a skill where she can swap places with another creature. So I teleport the lizard person, which teleport in itself is kind of funny because you don't just teleport him on his feet. You teleport him like a couple feet up in the air and they just fall and take damage.
Okay.
So my lizard man who's spec'd out as a fighter has a skill called Retribution. So every time he falls, it does some of that damage to my mage.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, this is just going to be a way it is. I teleport him further along on the bridge, do the swap, teleport him close again, teleport him again, do the swap, and it's just like this leapfrogging thing across this
like
bridge.
inching across the map.
Yeah, and I made it. Was that the right way? I don't know, but it got me there. So.
If it's dumb and it works, you know?
It was not. It was not the right way. I can guarantee you it wasn't the right way.
Man.
But like I said, it got me there, so it worked out. So it's been a lot of fun, dumb stuff like that where I helped heal a person, and it's like, all right, cool, here's a bunch of experience. Oh, it turns out that I wasn't supposed to heal them because now a whole village is dead because of this. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going back there and killing her.
Right.
You know, so it's been real fun. The only thing I do not like about it, and I don't know if Baldur's Gate 3 is like this because I haven't looked into it, is that you only have 4 characters. I'm used to old school where you have 6. So,
sure.
And there are 6 origin characters, which I was kind of hoping, it's like, oh, cool, there's 6 characters, so I can do that. No, you're stuck with 4, but it doesn't hurt. Like, it's...
Right.
It just makes it so that my party isn't as diverse as I normally make them in these kind of games.
Sure.
But that's not a problem because I've got, like, my mage is basically really good at water and wind magic, which makes it so that I can heal people really well and do tons of, like, lightning and ice and all this other damage to everything. Like, my characters are so spec'd out right now. My main character has an ability where, for an AP point, I can just get behind somebody's blind spot and then just start doing backstab damage, and then I can conceal myself and hide, which is all I do with that character is just get behind him, do your damage, and then just hide, and then come back out of the shadows and do it all over again. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying Divinity, and it's really got me looking forward to Baldur's Gate. I am currently on chapter 4 right now, getting ready to move on to another island because I'm following a demon, an archdemon, and I have their name now, and I have a possible location of where it's at, and everyone's like, yeah, you should probably go and check this thing out. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go kill that thing because it's going to help one of my party members too. So here we go. But that is a very, very oversimplified recap of this game. Like I said, I'm like 40 hours into this, and I have done so much dumb stuff. Getting back to like the poison for my character, there are so many poison traps in this game where I've just been like, all right, I'm going to separate my character from the main party. He is just going to walk across all this poison, deactivate the trap, and then the rest of my party will just follow suit. You know, so it's been really great. It's just such a fun game. My next game and my last game that I've been playing is Palworld.
I wanted to play this, and then I realized it was game preview. I was like, no, I will not break my Xbox habit of not playing game preview games.
It's got achievements.
It's a roguelike, right? Like, am I hearing that right? Okay, no, good.
No?
Thank goodness.
No, it's
I mean, maybe you can make it that hard, I guess.
it's kind of
if
like
you
a
want to.
Pokemon. There also seems to be like there's a considerable amount of AI generated imagery in here, which is going to be the deal breaker
Yep.
for a lot of people.
Yeah. So starting this out, I was already getting like very big like Breath of the Wild Genshin vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I discovered a new location, and that very much sounded like the Zelda music for when you find new locations in Breath of the Wild. Where it's like that do kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that has me feeling kind of weird about this, but my son has been playing it. And I was like, all right, I'll install it and I'll check it out. And it is just a survival game with pretty much Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
It like out there are so many Pokemon now that I haven't kept up with that if you had just told me that this was a Pokemon survival game, I'm like, okay, it must be like
Yeah.
one of the newer generations
Yep.
or
Those all
something,
look like
you know?
Pokemon. Yep.
Yeah. Down to the artwork, especially with like the last time I had seen him in 3D was with Arceus, and this looks like a lot of that kind without the Japanese style. But so far it's just your run of the mill. Like I only played it today, but it's like just your run of the mill survival where you got a health bar, you got a hunger bar. There is a hot and cold bar, which looks like it was taken directly from Breath of the Wild, with like
You're
the
like-
little needle and the hot and cold points. Yeah.
I bet you're like chopping down stuff and using that stuff to make stuff.
Yep. The only really cool thing about it is that when you capture your little pals, you can put them in your base and they will do things for you depending on how they were set up. Not by you, but by like the developer.
Oh, so like what type of pal they are?
Yeah, so for instance, like I have the first one that you really come across is a chicken thing. And this is basically like the Magikarp of this world, where it even tells you in the description, this chicken is pretty much useless. It never gets stronger. It never gets better.
Dude just super sucks.
Yeah, and no matter how many times we kill, how many of them we kill, they always come back. So it's like, okay, that one literally does nothing. I've attached it to my base, and it just eats and sleeps food that I give it. And
Okay.
That's it.
Big same.
The next one that I found was a cat one.
Mm-hmm.
And the cat one actually likes to mine, so it will sit there and it will dig out, not from the ground, but there'll be like rock outcrops that you can take out with like a stone axe or like a pickaxe. The cat will just do that with you while you're there doing that. So around my base, there are certain stone outcrop points that I could mine, and whenever I attach my cat to my base, it will run out and it will start to mine those. And then I can run over and grab the stone and the ore and stuff like that and put it in my treasure chest.
So it's essentially like your automation for some of this stuff? Okay.
Especially now, because I'm at the point right now where I have a Firefox who will go to my camp thing when I make a recipe and tell it to cook food, and it will sit there and cook food until
What about an
it
opera?
can no longer
Do you have
do
an
it.
opera? What about an
No.
edge?
No. I've got this weird plant dragon dinosaur looking thing that will seed my berry farm, and then I have 2 water things that'll sit there and water it, and then my lambs will run around and just pick up like odds and ends stuff. So like if someone's chopping down wood, they will grab it and throw it in my chest. If someone's breaking up stone, they will run over there and grab it. And so it's just all this weird stuff that you can do, and it's all of my people are just running around just working.
Interesting.
They do have a sanity percentage.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you work them too hard, they will just stop working, I guess. And you can't tell them like, hey, keep working or whatever. It's just you have to have like a bed made for them so that way they feel comfortable. You have to feed them so that way they keep going. And doing that stuff keeps their sanity up. And if their sanity, I think, is like below 50% or something like that, they stop doing things until it starts to recharge itself. And I don't know what happens if it goes lower than that.
Okay.
I will say my number one complaint right now, well, my 2 number one complaints, if that makes sense, is all of these things like to get in places where they get stuck.
Sure.
And then they start to cry about how hungry they are. And I'm like, well, if you just jump down the ledge that you somehow got on top of, or if you stop climbing on top of my house, you could come down here and get some food.
Right.
You can pick them up and throw them off of the ledge or whatever, or you can go into like your little pal mart thing that you build and just move it so that they're no longer a part of the base, and then put them back on the base, and then that teleports them right next to you and they can go back to work or whatever. But it's just really weird. Like, my house is currently 3 stories tall, not because I needed it to be, but because I was tired of them constantly getting on top of it and saying that they're hungry and they can't do anything about it.
Right.
And I had to expand it a different way so they would stay off of a ledge that they also kept getting stuck on. So it's really weird. The second, my 1B issue is when you find stuff on the ground, your character will just automatically absorb it and it goes into your inventory, which is great. The problem is when you start with like how I have a tree grove that I created, and my little deer thing will go over there and chop down a bunch of trees, and it's a continuous thing. I don't have to worry about trees regrowing or anything like that. The problem is that it looks like the wood that it chops and the fiber that it chops is supposed to stay in that system. And I'm supposed to walk up to it and say, hey, I want to take this much out of it. It's kind of like its own storage unit.
Oh, okay.
But it's not doing that. It's just there's bits and pieces everywhere. And if you walk up, you start to vacuum it up. And it's very easy for you to all of a sudden soak up way more than you can run around with. And then you just become encumbered.
Gotcha.
And I kind of got into a loop for a brief moment where I would drop a bunch of wood, but then it was still chopping wood that was falling around me. So then I would automatically soak up all the other wood and become encumbered again. And I almost got stuck in a loop where I couldn't leave a spot.
Right.
And then I jimmied my way out of it and I was fine. But it's starting to have an impact on my little pal people on my base, because they will all of a sudden get in a spot where it's like there's a bunch of stone and they go in there and grab one, but then they see another stone and they go to pick that one up and they can't. So then they just keep, getting in this weird lock where they're just sitting there. And so I have to run over there and pick it all up so they can just pick up one and then walk away.
Oh, jeez.
So it's early game. I don't know how early game, but those two things are definitely problems right now where it's like, I don't know why they keep doing this or why they keep getting stuck in like this weird loop thing.
Right.
But so far it's been real. I played a lot more of it than I thought I was going to. Mostly because of the little pal guys and just messing around and seeing what I can do. Your base also does get raided. I've had 2 raid parties show up now. Actually 3. One of them is a group, they just call them like scoundrels or syndicate or something. And my base is kind of like facing a cliff. So they ran towards the cliff, but they couldn't climb up the cliff. So I was just up there with a bow and arrow sniping them until they disappeared, until they all died. I was like, cool, we'll take that and bring it back. But the next group was an actual group of pals, and they were called like fangirls for some reason. And they were like these giant pink looking things. I'm like, oh, I bet you they can jump. And sure enough, they can. So they were just able to jump up the cliff. But luckily, I have a bell system set up where if we get invaded, all of my pals are set to start attacking invaders.
Oh, okay.
So as soon as one of those things got into my base area, all of a sudden, all 8 of my pals just like turned, get red in the eye, and just start attacking these things.
Interesting.
And it takes them out pretty well. There was another time that I got taken out. I went to go talk to my son about the game in the living room, and I come back and I've got like there's like a red warning at the top saying that, hey, there's a raid party heading your way. I was like, oh crap. I go running out of my house, and all of my pals are running to my house, and they all have like little items above their heads because they already wiped out the group that was showing up to raid me.
See you later.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, cool. So it looks like there's a lot of cool stuff going on here, but it's also just like a lot of weird janky things too. And I don't know a whole lot outside of the background of this game, who developed it, what company's backing it, all of that. I don't know anything about it. So for what it is right now, without knowing any shadiness behind it, it seems like a pretty decent game. Like there's nothing like I would let my daughter play it right now. There's no weird things going on, I guess. And
Right.
I'm not 100% sure what this is rated. I'm assuming it's rated teen.
I don't know if I've
just
seen
because
actually.
I haven't seen a rating for it, but only because
Yeah.
there is just like cartoon violent kind of things, but there's like
Yeah.
no massive amounts of blood or anything. I watched a flying pal pick up a smaller one, fly off with it, and then drop it on top of another one and kill both of them.
Okay.
And then I killed the bird thing. So it all works out. So but yeah, Palworld seems like an interesting concept. I have not gotten to the point of guns. I do not have Pokemon with guns yet.
Right.
Like everyone keeps saying. So but yeah, I'll keep checking it out. It is definitely a shut your brain off and just do a thing.
Right.
So you don't have to think about it, and there's no story either. So
right.
Yeah, that's all I've been playing this week.
All right, I have hold on, I got it off camera. I got a surprise here this week. After trying for over a month, I was finally able to procure a PlayStation Portal.
Ooh.
I have it right here in my hands. Hi, Ring Light.
Go.
Hello. I got this yesterday. Unfortunately, I haven't had a ton of time with it because big shout outs to my good friend and longtime fan of the show, Bill Sifford. He was able to procure one for me. I did pay him, so it's not an exorbitantly priced gift or anything. But it was one of those things where he sent me a message and said, hey, the PlayStation Direct store has some in stock. By the time I got to the point where I signed in, they were out of stock already because these things are just selling like hotcakes. He was able to get me one on Thursday. It shipped on Friday and arrived on my doorstep on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Sadly, it arrived... Yeah, go ahead.
Out of curiosity, obviously, you've only just got it, so you haven't had time to put it through its paces yet. I'm guessing, is this a child in the room kind of thing for yourself?
No, it's really like my intention is... that's a part of it, but not really my kind of main aim. My main aim is kind of like the late at night after everyone's in bed, kind of, I've got like an hour or two here to go through something. Largely because 2024 is pretty miserable with incredible looking RPGs this year. And if there's anything...
You need to squeeze that extra little time that you can.
Well, and also
February
there's like...
by itself has like 5.
Yeah, it's really bad. But also, if there's ever been a good genre of games to play on like a remote play sort of thing, it's really RPGs, especially with how many of them are coming out. Like Unicorn Overlord is probably a perfect thing for this, where it's like, this is just a turn-based thing, man. Like you can just kind of clip away at this. So that's my main goal for it, is kind of like, let me try and play a little bit of stuff here and there. I've been my number one impression of the Portal off the bat is, yeah, this is way bigger than I thought. It really is, someone pulled apart a DualSense controller and put an 8-inch screen in between it.
Hold it up again, please.
Yeah.
For video people and myself.
Try not to drop.
Can we get a face to Portal comparison, please?
That's my face. Nice. I got a big head. But like,
yeah, so that looks huge. That looks even bigger than the pictures they showed.
It really does look really big. It is nice because the back looks really doofy because
okay.
They just like stretched the controller all the way across the thing. But the screen looks really nice. It is an LED screen and not an OLED screen, which isn't as noticeable as I was expecting it to be. It does seem like a high quality LED screen, so the colors are pretty nice. You're not going to be able to see it here on the live stream because that's just kind of the nature of it.
It is, yeah.
It's way lighter than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be pretty heavy. Like I've heard the Steam Deck is pretty heavy, but it really isn't. It doesn't feel nearly as heavy as I was expecting it to. That was one thing I was going to be worried about, was like holding this thing for a while, and that doesn't seem to be a big problem. My only real complaint at the beginning is the two thumbsticks are smaller than the thumbsticks on the DualSense.
Oh, boo.
Don't know why they have done that. The big third-party accessory that everybody seems to be buying are like thumbstick caps that make them the same size. So that
Are they still symmetrical thumbsticks down at the bottom?
Yeah.
I mean, they're next to the D-pad and the buttons, so symmetrical, yeah, but they're so far apart. Yeah, there you go. Yes, yeah. So they're kind of closer to the D-pad and the symbol buttons than they are on the DualSense, but they're so far apart I don't feel like I'm like kicking in my thumbs and my hands like I would on a DualSense. So to me it's the same controller, but I think because of the size it feels different, but I haven't sat down to play with it for an hour or two or plus at the moment, so I'm not sure if the DualSense doesn't hurt my hands like it does hurt a lot of people's hands. So I'm curious to see, is this the same experience or not? But so far, it hasn't really bothered me too much. The setup was actually way easier than I was expecting. I feel like that is always Sony's Achilles heel, is like, great, I got this thing. Okay, I got to go through like half an hour and a whole bunch of Google searches to get this thing set up.
So 3 different MFAs so that they can talk to each other.
100%, yeah. So it had 2 back-to-back firmware updates. The first one was pretty long, but that's what everybody's been saying, so I was expecting it to be. The very first thing they have you do is join your wireless, and as soon as you do that, it's like, hey, I got firmware updates, we got to do this. So do that, just let it do its thing. It reboots a bunch of times. The very next thing it fires up with is a QR code, and as soon as I scan that QR code, I pushed the button on my camera app, fired up the PlayStation app, and said, hey, it looks like you're trying to add a portal. Do you want to associate that with this PlayStation account? I said yes, and I said, all right, you're good, and just fired up the OS of the portal.
Nice.
And at that point, I picked my PS5, it connected, and everything was fine. Because I've already used Remote Play on my PC here and on my phone. So Remote Play was already set up on my PS5. I didn't have to go through and do all of that. It's already just all set up. And then whenever I turn the portal on, you push the PlayStation button to get to this screen where it has this little portal. It's already connecting to the PS5 by the time I've turned it on. It'll say like connected to whatever your PS5 is called. And then once you do that, you hit the X button, and then you're connected already. I have played a couple of things so far, trying to put it through its paces. No, it says ready to play. Hit the X button, and then it just kind of zooms into your PS5, and
Nice.
then you're already set up. The only thing that people seem to be frustrated by is the same thing that every Remote Play app for PlayStation does. It's by design, but when you disconnect from your PS5, it doesn't put the PS5 in rest. And that's because of, if it just disconnects by accident, you don't want it to like go through the whole process of disconnecting whatever you're playing if you're playing something online and going to sleep and doing that whole shutdown thing. It just disconnects you and reconnect right away. If you want to put your PS5 in rest mode, you just do that and then it kicks you out of the Remote Play. So
Does your PS5 then act like if your controller died and is saying, hey, you're no controller connected or something?
Yep,
Okay.
100%. Yeah. So far everything seems great. I've played some. My last game I'll talk here, which is a pretty actiony game. I've played a bunch of that, and it feels pretty good. I need to get into my wireless router to make sure that it's connected to the 5 gigahertz band and not the 2.4, just to make sure it has the fastest connection it can. I believe it supports Wi-Fi 5 or 6, but I know my wireless access point doesn't do that, so I'm probably not getting the fastest you possibly can, but so far it seems pretty good, and my PS5 is hardwired, so from that end it's been good.
Yeah.
So but because of a game that will release at the end of this week, I will probably be putting a lot more time in on this thing over the next couple weeks. Hopefully, optimally. So,
Important question.
yes.
Does it have a strap point, and does it come with a strap?
It doesn't come with a strap. Does it have a strap? I don't think it does. So the PSP beating this, of course. Thankfully, on the bottom side, it does have a USB-C. You can't really see it. It has USB-C and a headphone port, which is great.
Okay.
You cannot pair Bluetooth headphones to it, except for Sony's
proprietary earbud thing.
Yeah, Pulse earbuds or whatever they're calling
Yeah.
them. But I'm not spending another $200 on a set of earbuds that don't look very good. To be honest,
Yeah.
I wish I could use my AirPod Pros, which I pair with everything, which would be great. But can't do that, sadly. But at least it has unlike every other piece of tech in 2024, it has a headphone jack, which is really great. I appreciate that.
Well, that's useful, at least.
Yeah. So, quick first impressions there. Seems really great so far. Seems cool. But I'll be putting it through its paces here over the next couple of weeks. All right, let's get to the games. I finished and platinumed Spider-Man 2.
Nice.
Wasn't planning on platinuming it, but I finished it, and I was just like, I got like 7 more trophies. And, some of them... The thing I really love about the PS5's trophies, I really wish more developers would support this, but they have a percentage of progress on trophies. So if you look at the trophy, it's like, kill 50 enemies with X sort of attack. It's like, oh, you're 87% of the way through. I was like, all right, I can just finish these. No big deal. I'm 87% of the way through. I can do this. So I really appreciate that. I wish more developers would support those. It's sadly not a requirement. I largely liked Spider-Man 2 by the end of it. I think, as we talked about last week, I'm not going to do any story spoilers here or anything, but I appreciate that they took the time they took to get to where they were going to with the story, but I think it was too long. It's really tough because I appreciate that they took the time to get there and treat the story in a way that it wasn't just like this happened, then this happened, then this happened. Like there's a slow build up and a slow escalation to the kind of entire B story of this game. And I appreciate that, but by the time that things start really popping off, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, yes, okay, now we're finally getting to this thing that now that we've been dealing with this A-plot for forever. So I'm kind of ready for it to really start popping off here. I don't, it's tough because I don't think it's 100% bad, but I feel like you could have cut out a couple of missions there, and I'm sure people are going to say like the Mary Jane missions. No, those were fine. Like they kind of always, the problem with those is they kind of always come at a bad time where it's like, all right, stuff's really popping off. Okay, I got to do this stealth mission. Okay.
I was gonna say, is it still a stealth?
Yeah, but she has some pretty interesting weapons this time. So as the game goes on, it turns from less of a stealth mission and into a more I'm shooting a gun at dudes mission. So that
You're running around with your EZ gun from Metal Gear, and
it's not too far off. Yeah.
Didn't realize she was related to Sam Fisher.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So it's pretty cool. But I liked it. I mean, I liked it enough that I did 100% of everything, but like with the other 2 Spider-Man games, by the time you're done with the game, you've kind of crisscrossed the map enough and interacted with so much of that stuff anyway that by the end of the game, it's like, oh yeah, I finished half of the districts already, and I have like 30 of the spider bots that are around the map. I only need 12 more or whatever.
Yeah.
So by the time you're there, you're like, yeah, well, yeah, sure, I'll finish that up. Why not? I I really liked Miles's last suit. Apparently, there's been some level of controversy there. Of course, there is with comic book nerds being mad about things being different. But I liked that. I thought it was a cool style. It felt very Miles. And I liked how the story resolved itself overall. I think that felt really good overall. It's kind of tough because I had fun playing it. I had a good time throughout the entirety of it. I was pretty ready for it to be done at the end, and looking back, I don't think this would have been my game of the year for last year. It probably would have been like in my top 3 if I would have guessed, but I don't think this would have been like, oh yeah, obviously it's my number 1. Nothing like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good. I mean, it's a Spider-Man game. It's as good as the other 2 are. At least I played Miles Morales just right before this, so that was a great game, and I remember really enjoying the first one. But I'm hoping that I'm going to assume they're going to make a third one. That seems like a safe assumption with how well these games do. That if they do, I hope they focus on keeping the scope manageable. Because I feel like the city was big enough to be interesting, so I wasn't, kind of running across the same districts and the same buildings over and over again. And the number of activities in the game were enough to be interesting but not overwhelming. And I really hope they don't kind of pull a Ubisoft for the third one and be like, all right, now it's triple the size. It's like, that's really not what I want.
That's what I've heard a lot of people talking about too. It's like, well, what would they do for a third game? It's like, just make it bigger, add more stuff. It's like, they don't need to do either. Like,
just tell another story. Like,
yeah, and maybe just change what some of like the side stuff you can do. So instead of like all these challenge missions, you have something else that you can try. You know, but
and I was really happy because I never really clicked with the challenge missions from the first one and from Miles Morales, where it's like, oh, go do this and fight Peter's holograms and learn how to do these moves, and you get 3 stars if you do a combo. I never really liked those. They did have some of those in this. They have a Mysterio sort of side quest thing to do that are combat focused. And I liked that a little bit more because you go to a different area to do them in. And it felt a little bit more interesting than, oh, I'm in this building in the city doing this thing. It felt a little bit more interesting, but I'd be okay if they got rid of all of that stuff and kind of came up with a new set of things for another one. So it's overall it's good. I'm glad I played it, and I had a lot of fun with it. But I don't think it would have been my top game of last year. But that's okay too. I don't have to play 10 number ones.
2023 was a game of fantastic games just releasing.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and like I don't need to play 10 out of 10 the best AAA game of all time games every year. Like that's it's okay for a game to be like an 8 out of 10 or something like that. Like that's still a really great game. So, and to me that's Spider-Man 2. Like if you have a PS5 and it'll come out on PC probably in a year from now, you should play it. If you like the other 2, you're going to like this one too. So, go check it out. My last game here is the recently released Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This is the Prince of Persia Metroidvania. Hey, it's really good. Curses.
Yeah. I keep hearing people say this. It's like, I don't know.
All I hear is people talk about, and I don't mean to steal your thunder, but just talk about the photo feature. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. Good. Yeah, and I'm like, that's cool.
So the best part about the photo feature is it's really easy to use. When you're wandering around, you hit down on the D-pad and it takes a picture, and you just keep moving.
Yeah.
And then whenever you look at that icon, it's like an icon of an eye on your map. It just shows you the picture of just shows you the picture you took, and it's really really great because it's one of those things. I just solved a puzzle where there's like clearly a thing I was supposed to make a pattern out of, and I'm like,
Yeah.
but what pattern? I haven't seen the pattern yet, so I took a picture of the thing, and then 2 areas later, I find the pattern, on the wall somewhere. I was like, oh, perfect. Take a picture of that. Eventually find my way back to the thing. And I was like, oh, right. Okay, I can, in the place where I'm solving the puzzle, look at the picture from over there. Oh, right. Draw the pattern. Yeah, I got treasure. So
Nice.
it's so much stuff where, like, normally I'd be like, okay, let me go find a piece of paper and draw this pattern. Okay, now I gotta remember it and all that.
See, I never hear anyone talk about that use case for the phone. It's always someone's like, well, I need another ability to get through this area on the map, like double jump or something.
Mhm.
And it's like, and I never remember it's there. And I'm like, well, then you just don't normally play Castlevania games
Right.
because you're going to see that dead end on your map and be like, why did I not complete that spot? You
Yeah,
know?
and the map is actually really good about there's a ton of different types of icons that can be on there, and the two that I think are really the most helpful are one of them is just a small white diamond, and that means this is an area you haven't explored yet that you can explore. So it's basically like a very gentle, like, maybe you should head this way, or you're in this area and maybe you haven't explored this section over there.
Yeah.
And the other one is a straight line with an arrow pointing at it, and that is a one-way directional. So it's basically
Okay.
you can run up to like a gate or something, and if you look at your map and the arrow's pointing towards you, that means you got to go around and back through. There's no way you can get through that with an ability or like a charged attack or anything or any sort of magic. You're going to come back that way another time.
Cool.
So I think that stuff is really helpful because that stops me from hitting a gate or a grate or something and me being like, well, I'm just going to bang my head on it because I got to be able to get through there. And the game's like, no, you'll don't worry. You'll come back here later. So I greatly appreciate that. Do have to mention, in case people didn't know, this was primarily, or I guess mainly developed originally for the Switch. So on Series X and PS5, it is native 4K 120 frames. And that's what it just runs at. There's no like performance versus quality mode. And I can verify based on my TV, it sure is running at that resolution and frame rate, which is really incredible.
Nice.
And I think makes this game feel very, very snappy. That's one of my big praises for this game is the combat feels really good, and it feels very, very snappy and very kind of like. It actually reminds me a lot of the Spider-Man 2 that I was just playing, where it's a lot of like square, 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 but modifying by holding up and square, you pop up enemies. Holding down a square, you're sort of slamming enemies down to the ground. Stuff like that. There's a fun little training area where you can learn how to do kind of more advanced maneuvers, which I think is really cool. And the movement feels really, really, really good, in a way that kind of, I think to me is the shining star of this game in a lot of ways. You don't get the usual Metroidvania double jump at the beginning. What you actually get is an air dash, which feels really great, and you can use that for not only combat but for traversal at the same time. So you're kind of slashing enemies and knocking them back, and then dashing on the ground over to them, and then continuing a combo, which feels really, really good. And then being able to do all of these pretty tricky platforming sections with the air dash feels really great. The in-game counter says I'm only about 32% of the way through the game, so I don't know what other traversal mechanics are there. I have a couple of other ones, but I don't really want to spoil them. I also don't know how to explain them really, because there's one where you click in the right stick that is very cool and kind of confusing to describe at the same time. But
Was that a one-hit kill thing that was just on that video?
No, that enemy is a jailer and he puts you in a prison.
Say, dang, that is brutal.
Yeah, this game is I'm playing on the normal difficulty. This game is pretty challenging. This thing is not going to really treat you with kid gloves. Like there are a bunch of boss fights that I'm going through where I am trying it 2 or 3 times before I kind of get the pattern down all the way, which is kind of a fun change, because I feel like most Metroidvanias, excepting Hollow Knight, feel like they're kind of on the easier, kind of cannon fodder end of the difficulty spike. There are, I think, 4 different difficulties. The bottom one is very much like the story difficulty, and it's normal, hard, and whatever their bonkers difficulty is, which is basically like, we're going to mess you up. You're not going to be able to take any damage or deal any damage. But you can also, there's a custom difficulty too, where you can set your parameters, which is like how much damage you do, how much damage you take, and how much health the enemies have. And I think that's basically a sliding scale from 0.5 to 2 times, I think. So you can kind of, each one of those values you can change. And then they actually have a bunch of really cool accessibility options. One of the first options you get is whether you want to play the game's exploration mode through normal or guided. And normal is basically your standard Metroidvania, where it's like, here's your map, you put your you have the pictures you're taking, which you start off with 10 you can get, and you're kind of picking more up as you're going. But you also have 100 little essentially push pins that you can put on the map, so you have a ton of different options for stuff. But the other option is guided, where it essentially is putting a larger icons on your map of, hey, you picked up this story, like main quest or side quest, this is the place you need to go do the quest. So if you're and you can change that at any point. So if you pick up a main quest and you're like, where does this thing expect me to go? You can just turn that on and be like, oh, now I need to go this way. I didn't go. Perfect. I can just go there. But they also have a bunch of combat and platforming accessibility options. One accessibility option I really thought is cool is for a platforming one, where if you're having trouble with the platforming, you can just make a portal to skip that platforming challenge. So basically you form a portal at the beginning of the platforming thing, and it just zips you to the end, which I think is a really cool option, because some of these are really very challenging, and I'm glad that they're not like, you got to get good. It's like, that's maybe not always the option for some people.
Yep.
And what else is going on? It has essentially an Estus flask, which is great. I like more Metrovanias doing that, so it's not just you have health pickups, you got to manage your health potions and all that. I'm not sure what else to say so far. This is the thing I have been playing only this week, and happily at every opportunity sort of being like, I've got a little bit more time. Maybe I can get to another save point. Maybe I can solve one more puzzle in this area. Maybe I've got this place I can go back to now that I've got this other this other ability. Now I bet I can get around this thing that it feels very much like that, like in the best Metroidvanias, where you run into something and you're like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. I'm just gonna come back, and then you get your next ability, or like get two more abilities, and you're like, oh, okay. I bet that I can use that to get around what I couldn't get around before. Perfect. Okay, now I gotta make my way back there. So, I'm really happy with it so far, and I've been playing it up a lot, and I'm only about 30% of the way through. So, oh, the story is actually pretty good so far. There's like
I was going to ask, is there any time-based grained minerals that you have to worry about?
Yeah, so you're a group of kind of legendary warriors called the Immortals. And your character Sargon is not the leader and almost kind of like the worst one of them, which is pretty refreshing. And the prince of your kingdom gets kidnapped, and you have to go try and save them. And by the time you get there, you're kind of following behind the person who kidnapped him. You find out that by the time you get there, which is like 2 or 3 days after they leave, 30 years have passed for them.
Wow.
And things have gone really poorly in this mountain that you're wandering around in. So it's interesting to see you running into people that left a couple days ago, and here they are decades later, having seen some real serious stuff that they've been going through. And there is one sand-based collectible that you're picking up that you're picking up these like jars full of sand that seems to be turning into some sort of like artwork piece or something. I'm still not sure. That seems to be the reward for some of the hardest like exploration or movement based challenges in this game. So I'm assuming that they'll lead to something pretty good. And a lot of this game is kind of the fun. If you haven't played a Metroidvania before, it seems like this is going to do a really good job of teaching you of like, boy, I just finished this really hard traversal segment, and this is the like I hit the dead end at the end of this. Like, there's nothing here. It's like, you should probably hit that wall a couple of times. Oh, it's a fake wall! Hooray! That sort of thing. And with the story, the voice acting is actually really good too. There isn't a ton of it. The story is good, but largely kind of gets the point across and stays out of the way. It doesn't really stay longer than it needs to, which I really appreciate. But yeah, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, it's really good. I would like to go sit down and play more of it, because I'm all the way into it at this point, and I'm liking it a whole bunch. So I don't know how long it will take me to get through, but so far things seem good. So
Cool.
I like it, and that's all the games I've been playing. Let's take a break.
Yep.
Excuse me. Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm tired today, man. Sheesh. I think I don't have any news stories this week. Where's our show notes? Where'd those go? There they are. All right, let me pull up the
breaking news: the Bills are winning 3-0 against the Chiefs.
There you go.
Woo.
All right, let me pull up all these trailers real quick, and we'll knock out releases here, and then we'll be done. There's probably a bunch of news stories we could cover this week, but we're okay. We're good.
Meh.
No thanks.
Okay. Did we have the question from last week?
Oh yeah, what time is it? I'll carry it over to next week.
Okay.
It's not a topical.
It's an evergreen, yeah.
Yeah, so we can sort of copy it over. Yeah, I'll make sure I do that. All right, you guys ready?
Before you get underway,
Yes.
I'm just double checking. I saw a clickbait headline, and I'm just double checking if it's actually true or not. I know you got Infinite Wealth on the release list.
That is not.
Do we want?
But I'm not sure.
I was going to say, do we want to talk about that when you talk about Infinite Wealth or no?
I'm not sure what Sega's going to do yet. So for anyone listening, how it appears based on the deluxest edition of Infinite Wealth for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is that New Game Plus appears to be locked behind whatever DLC pack is part of the biggest version.
Boo.
Nobody really has it in their hands at the moment, so yeah. I'm not 100% sure if that's true. If it is, that really sucks, but I'm not sure. Yep. I'm not sure if that means anything at the moment. You know, like, is the Platinum tied behind finishing New Game Plus or not? Is that even part of the day one release, or does like the New Game Plus come later or something like that? So potentially shady. And
it's the lack of comment that makes me think that this might be correct.
Yeah, so we'll see here pretty soon. But I'm not sure yet how big of a deal that's going to be. If it will be, then I guess we'll talk about it next week. But we'll see if Sega is going to respond at all. I'm not sure. So,
roger that.
Yeah. All right. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Sure.
Just gonna write this down. Boop. All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of January 22nd, 2024. Coming up first is Immortality, coming out on the PS5. We played this for Game Club. Last year, 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I think.
It came out 2 years ago, so I think we might have done it 2 years ago. So I really, really liked this game when it came out. I will probably pick it up for the PS5 and maybe try to get the incredibly maddening 100% on this in the hopes that maybe they have changed it. Hopefully. If you didn't hear about Immortality when it came out, this is the Melissa Marcel filmed 3 movies and they never got released for one reason or another, so you're diving into footage sort of randomly to figure out what happened in these films. So I liked it a whole lot. It is nearly impossible to describe other than it's a very cool kind of singular thing. So also, please pay attention to the rating. It's very for real. Like they're not joking with those ratings there. So next up, Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy comes out PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. These are the 3 Apollo Justice games: Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright's Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, and Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice. So kind of the 3 Apollo Justice games. I think I played the first one of these and really liked them. If you've played any of these, they're all kind of the same games. If you liked any of them, you'll probably like all 3 of these. So I know I played the original trilogy and really loved them, but I should probably get to playing this trilogy at some point because they're pretty good. Next game here, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. I'm nearly feral for this game at this point. I cannot be more excited. Guess what I picked up the PlayStation Portal for? Is games like this. These M-rated games that are about a bajillion hours long.
Yep.
So I'm very, very, very excited to play this. It comes out on Friday this week, and very excited to see what the hell this thing turns out to be. We might as well talk about it here. Moon brought up the point in between that just seems to be some kerfuffle over potentially the new game plus for this game being locked behind some DLC pack that also comes with whatever the most deluxe of deluxest edition comes out. So Sega really hasn't talked about it. I know there was, I think the last game, Yakuza Like a Dragon, had that as the case, but wasn't the case in the States when it came over here. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. If that's still the case, we'll have to see what's going to happen when it comes out, and if that really matters that much. It sucks either way. We shouldn't be doing that. Like, it's one thing to have a new game plus that kind of comes out after the fact, a couple months after the game comes out. Like, that's fine. You're working on it. You're probably developing it. But to lock new game plus behind some like costume pack DLC, that kind of, hopefully that's not the case, because if it is, that sucks. So we'll find out here shortly. And last game here, Tekken 8 comes out PS5, Series consoles, and PC. I really like Tekken, even though I'm kind of garbage at it, so I don't play them. But I respect how bonkers they are every time. I think the trailer for this one is like, yeah, there's 32 characters here. It's like, yep, okay, sure, let's do it.
How many are animals with various gloves on?
I mean, Kuma the bear is back. I saw a news story. So, the panda is back. I don't even know what the panda's name is. But Tekken's always been cool. I'm excited to see this on the.
Tekken's always been weird.
Yeah, but I respect it greatly. Yeah. I'm also really like watching kind of the highest end Tekken players playing Tekken, because I think there's some real cool tech there that is really wild. So I don't know. Well, hopefully it hits on the kind of fighting game tournament scene. So we'll see.
I just want to see King do like wrestling moves to everybody again. That was always my favorite thing about Tekken, was King.
Yeah, King's great. Oh man, Tekken's cool.
Also, you've got the trailer playing while we're talking about it. What's with this whole end of Kingdom Hearts 2?
Yeah,
like,
what's this cutscene that's going on right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's just how crazy
Why is there a
got,
field
man.
of Keyblades?
That's right.
What happened?
I mean, the Keyblade War just took over a lot of kingdoms. Yeah.
Right.
I was
For that answer,
/
you have to go
most
back.
disappointing.
Yeah, find the answer. We got to go back to the beginning. Tekken 1. Yeah, I don't know. That looks super cool. Tekken's wild. I love it. All right, that's all of our releases for this week. That means at the end of the episode for this week as well. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Don't forget to join the Discord server. It's a very chill place. We're not one of those like 200 messages a minute sort of places. We're cool. We're chill. Don't worry about it. We're great.
Well, sometimes when somebody gets excited, we can turn into that.
That's true, but it's usually about food. So
yeah,
it's not about anything terrible.
I don't know how I feel about Discord sending me a message last night with 4 of our users and a notification saying you were all talking about tigers and cats. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this notification now, Discord. You're not
Usually
supposed to
it's
do
like,
that.
Taco Bell's got a new taco. Let's go. And like 3 people are getting in their cars right now. So
They brought back the double decker taco this
that's
week
right.
only.
Burr, burr, burr.
Also, you can go on the Patreon channel if you're a Patreon member to vote for my poison.
That's right.
Check out the Outcasts for news on that front.
That's right. I was going to say it's a different poison than Nimp was talking about, but maybe not. Maybe not.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Drawn from the same barrel.
That's right. That's right. You can also check out patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
Get all the cool early access, behind the scenes, excellent and awesome audio over there. $5 a month is a recommended tier. That gets you everything, anything above and beyond that, especially from your very, very rich friends. If they're in a higher tax bracket than we are, which probably isn't very hard. They should be paying more. It's like a
You're a
sliding
stay-at-home
scale.
dad, Boston. Like
That's right.
I'm
Every
in a higher
tax bracket is
than
higher
you
than
are.
mine. Yeah. So go check all of that out over there. If you can't support us financially, totally understand. The best way to support us is by like, comment, subscribing on YouTube. That helps discovery. Rating the podcast. We got 5-star runtimes. You got to rate those 5-star ratings everywhere that you go. What's the runtime? Yep, 5 stars. You got to rate everywhere you can and be annoying on social media. Tell your friends and find all the cool stuff and share it with your friends. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
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 Moon mentioned during some recording we were doing within the last couple of days that you get to like chart his recovery through these shows, but because they get released different times, it's like this up and down, like, oh no, he's still super, hey, he's way better, oh nope, wait, he's back.
Yep.
Back to being sick.
Speaking of that, I just realized that my name is under both of our cells.
It totally is. Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good job, mate.
Oh, well. I just happened to notice that one.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why.
You've always been here, Nimp.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
One of us.
I am the tragedy mask of Nimp. That is the
case.
The mimic mask. Yeah.
Yep. All right, Nimp. What titles do you have?
I have 5-star run times. Tycho represents the X and Circle conversation. The company needs you. And nearly feral to play this.
Moon, what do you have?
Hold on a minute. DEC. Oh, sorry. DEC was last month. Where's Wally for animal food? Evo controls. Edit it out. One beacon of hope. Fingers to pick locks. Big same and faced portal scale.
I have traditional versus Evo. Transfarring saved us. My 2 number 1 complaints. The same barrel and the X and circle conversation. We have a lot of good ones this week.
True.
Anything you guys are gravitating towards? I like Transfarring saved us.
I also like the X and Circle conversation.
I like that one too.
Only because it's never really been a conversation. It's always been a yelling match.
That's true. That's very much that's very much a TVGP title too, in a way that tickles me. Yeah, I'm okay with that one if you want.
Yeah, I'm good with that one.
All right.
I was going to say something and I totally forgot what I was going to say now. It's like completely gone from my head.
Whoosh. All right, I've circled the X and circle conversation.
It's good pre-show for next time, so I'm just going to copy and paste my show notes right now.
Okay.
Okay.
And take a note of it.
Yep. Paste. Pre-show. There it is. That word. I feel very much in that thing I just typed makes me very much feel like Bilbo at the start of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
After all, why shouldn't I treat myself kind of moment?
That's right.
I got something.
I'm ready.
Oh, all right. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 848 for January 22nd, 2024. The X and Circle conversation.
It should just be A and B.
It's not something to bring up at Thanksgiving.
Definitely true.
That's true. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. We greatly appreciate it. We hope we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.